Their knees clashed.
Ouch!
That's not all, Zond. There's more.
What?
A couple of days later, Tamsin was playing hockey in PE.
Who's winning?
Never mind that, Zond, because as Tamsin's opponent whacked the ball, his stick accidentally hit Tamsin's shin.
On the same leg! Ooh!
Double ouch. Here to find out more about Tamsin's troubles is Dr. Helen Stewart.
If I try and move your ankle,
It's obviously quite sore, Chris.
where did that hurt when I did that? Just down there. Okay. Well, I'll stop it there because I'm obviously in a lot of pain and I think we need to get some x-rays.
So it's off to get some snaps to see why her ankle is in agony.
After a few photos, Dr. Helen delivers the verdict.
So I can't see any breaks on the bones, but because of the pain that you're in, we're going to treat you the same as we would if you'd broken something. Which means pot on the leg.
Pot is another name for a plaster cast, and I don't think it's what Tamsin was hoping for.
No sports for a little while.
Oh my.
I know. No Thai boxing and no hockey. The cast will make her more comfortable. It'll help the pain and help her to heal.
Tamsin's having a back slab, which supports the back of her leg and allows for swelling.
I feel so weird.
I think we've got a pot star on our hands here, Zand.
Hospitals are good, hospitals are bad, and they put me in a pot and I'll be good to go.
Tamsin's got talent.
She'll need to come back for a checkup on that painful pin.
Find out later how she gets on. Ready to see some amazing experiments?
This is the Operation Ouch Poo Factory.
We're going to show you how your incredible body works.
Just don't try anything you see here at home.
Chris, can I trouble you for a favour? I need to borrow something of yours for an experiment. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine, whatever.
Hang on, trouble me for what? Some of your blood? You've got 8 pints of it.
Absolutely not. I'm using mine at the moment.
Yeah, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get it on telly.
Ooh, this does sound good, actually.
Great. Now remember, we can only do this because we're doctors.
Now, you might think I'm being brave with this needle, but you've got to remember that needles don't hurt unless you think they hurt, and I don't think it hurts.
Nice work, Zand. I have to say, though, for all the vital jobs it does, like carrying oxygen around my body,
It's not much to look at, is it? I mean, it's just sort of red and gloopy, right?
Wrong! It is much to look at, but only if you put it in one of these. This is a centrifuge machine.
This is my centrifuge machine. I've been looking for that.
Stop interrupting. We're trying to do an experiment. By spinning Chris's blood around at high speed, the centrifuge machine will separate the different parts that make up blood so we can see them.
And 10 minutes later...
So there we go.
Now, this top liquid layer is called the plasma, and it carries nutrients around your body and also carries waste material that your body wants to get rid of. And underneath the plasma, you can see this red layer, and that is made up of red blood cells, or erythrocytes, and these carry oxygen all around your body. And also in there are the platelets, and those are the cells that help you form blood clots.
And right between these two layers, you can see a little bit of cloudiness. Those are white blood cells to fight infection.
Well, there we go, Chris. We're all done with that now.
Why are you giving me this?
I only needed to borrow it. I'm a man of my word. So you've seen what your blood is made up of, but do you know where your blood comes from? Well, we're going to show you. Gross alert coming up. Amazingly, your blood comes from your bones.
If you thought your bones were just solid, hard, white things that kept you standing up, then think again, because there's more to bones than that.
Now, to demonstrate this, I've got a pig's femur. That's the big bone that you've got in your thigh. And we're going to open this one up to see how bones make blood.
The femur is one of the strongest bones in the body, so we're going to need some very specialist kit to cut it open.
Exactly.
Right, Zand. Or we could use a medical femur saw. It's the only thing that doctors ever use to cut bones.
OK, we'll do it your way.
It's time to saw open some bone.
Chris, the saw.
Get ready, because this is going to be a bit messy.
This is the inside of a pig's femur. And right here, this squishy stuff is red bone marrow.
Now, it's the red bone marrow that makes all your blood cells. In fact, every single day, your bone marrow makes 500 billion blood cells.
Busy. Now, the inside of your bones looks like this. It's pink with a lot of red marrow. But as you get older, your marrow starts to turn yellow. Chris, the yellow bone marrow, coming right up.
This is the inside of an adult cow's leg bone.
This yellow bone marrow is a much lighter colour. It's very soft and squidgy, and that's because it's mostly fat cells. And this is what your mum and dad's bone marrow looks like.
And that's because your body needs more blood when it's growing a lot. But as you get older and you don't have so much growing to do, some of the red marrow, which makes blood, turns to yellow marrow, which is basically a fat store.
So you have more red marrow than a grown-up.
But how does blood get from inside the bones to flowing around your body? Well, we're going to show you.
Come and have a good look at this. Right there, between that bit of bone marrow and the hard bit of bone, is a blood vessel.
So that's coming right inside your bones to pick up all that nice new blood being made by the marrow every single day. How cool is that?
So we've shown you that inside, your bones are amazing blood-making factories, and veins come right inside the bones to pick up that blood. And we've seen that blood is made up of different things, all of which have different jobs in your body.
You know, Chris, I did have a sense that that chainsaw was a bit over the top.
Did you, Sant?
I could feel it in my bones.
Ouch!
It's not just emergency teams in hospitals that are ready to help you.
I know! There are medical crews all over the country on standby 24/7.
We're on call with the UK Emergency Services, showing you what it's really like on the front line saving lives. On call with me is paramedic Jan Van.
This is a state-of-the-art rapid response vehicle. It can get to the scene of a medical emergency in minutes. And I'm heading out in it to show you what it's like to be a life-saving paramedic.
Jan can take 10 to 15 emergency call-outs in a day, and a new case is just in.
We've had a 999 call to see a 32-year-old man who's got a rash and swelling in his mouth. Now, that sounds to me like an allergic reaction. So I've got my camera in the front, Eric has got his camera, and we're going to be getting you as close to the action as possible.
Only a couple of minutes later, and we arrive at our destination.
Hello, is it Alan? Take a seat. My name's Jan. What's the problem today?
I think I had like a reaction to something. Your tongue was swelling,
Have a
the
look.
throat feels a bit.
Tight. Have your mouth wide as you can. Fantastic. So your tongue feels big in your mouth, does it?
Yeah, the ear feels quite tight.
Okay.
I was a bit short of breath, but.
Alan is experiencing something called anaphylactic shock, an extreme allergic reaction. Tigger and Sasha look concerned.
So is there anything that you're aware of that you're allergic to? Nothing that you know of? Okay.
Although Alan's being pretty brave, he has a life-threatening condition. His lips and tongue can swell, and that can cause problems with breathing and swallowing. So it's actually really important that Jan's here.
What I'll do is I'm going to give you an injection into your arm in a second with a drug called adrenaline.
Now, you may have heard of adrenaline. It's actually a hormone that your body makes. What it's doing in Alan's case is constricting the blood vessels in his tongue, in his lips, and will actually reduce that swelling. In cases like this, it can be life-saving.
I'm sending Alan in hospital today just so that I can make sure his tongue doesn't swell again. So the drugs I've given only work for a short time.
How are you feeling, Alan? Do you feel like it's working?
Yeah, I do feel a lot of swelling's going down.
Yeah.
An ambulance has arrived to take Alan into hospital.
You'll be all right walking out, yeah?
Yeah.
It's potentially a life-threatening problem that he had, and Jan's really fixed him up. You could see how much the swelling in his lips had gone down, and that happens all the way down his throat and into his lungs. So that's really, really good news, and they'll be able to treat him really well in hospital.
Still to come, we baffle your brains.
Did you see anything strange happening in the video?
Our mobile clinic is open for business.
Next patient, please.
And it's a life-changing day for Ben.
Should we get the show on the road?
Back in accident and emergency, Tamsin's waiting for news about her injured leg.
Let's find out how she's getting on.
In Sheffield, 9-year-old Tamsin's back in hospital. How are you feeling?
I still got pain, but I hope it's nothing bad.
It all happened when Tamsin's knee was injured at her Thai boxing class, and then her shin in a hockey match. Tamsin's first x-rays showed she didn't have any broken bones, but she was in such pain that her leg was put in a cast to help ease her discomfort. Tamsin is back for more x-rays to be doubly sure there's no damage.
That'll do very nicely.
Here to assess how Tamsin's doing is Dr. Naidu Maripuri. He starts by moving the agonising ankle. Clearly, she's still in a lot of pain. Dr. Naidu then takes a look at Tamsin's x-ray results.
I can't see any obvious fractures there.
Yay!
Sometimes what happens is that even if you don't see anything in the x-rays, there will be some soft tissue injury around the ankle.
Right.
The soft tissue injury is the damage of muscles, ligaments and tendons around the bone. They usually come from a sprain, strain or whack to the skin like Tamsin got higher up her leg. It can swell, bruise and be really painful.
So best way to deal with is protect it with this plaster, so that it helps healing. And then we'll see her in 2 weeks' time.
Don't worry, Mum, it'll be okay. This time it's a full cast. It's only for a couple of weeks. By then her ankle should have healed. Anything else you want to say or sing, Tamsin?
I've got another pot, I've got guitar, I've got like many, 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 many colours.
That'll do nicely. Bye! Now, did you know you share 98% of your DNA with a gorilla? So we have a lot more in common than just appearance. Ooh, random. Now we're going to mess with your mind. Scramble your senses.
I'm so confused.
And baffle your brain in Mindbenders.
So today's mind-bending trick is all about concentration, isn't it, Zand? Zand? What are you doing?
I'm concentrating.
Well, that's not how the trick works.
Hey, you're not fooling me. These children at this school think they're here to play a simple game, but we've got a trick up our sleeve.
So what we're going to show you is a video of a bull game, and all you have to do is count the number of passes that the team in white make.
Really good.
Let's roll the video.
Time to get counting. So, how many passes do you think the team in white made?
OK, Joshua.
21.
21. Charles?
21. 22.
The correct answer is 21. But did you spot anything weird?
Did you see anything at all other than the passing?
Just saw the passing.
Just saw the passing.
What we didn't tell you was before the match, Zahn dressed up as a gorilla and made an amazing ape appearance during the game. Let's see if anyone spots it this time. Nope, no one seems to have noticed. In fact, it took 3 attempts and then finally...
I saw a gorilla.
A gorilla? You think Cecilia's crazy? There was no gorilla, was there?
So just watch it again. Don't worry about the passes now. Just see if you can see a gorilla.
There is... Wait a minute. There is the gorilla at the back dancing.
Oh, that gorilla.
Oh, that guy's moved back!
And we fooled the other groups too.
Oh, there is that gorilla.
Oh, that gorilla.
So why didn't they spot it?
And it's because you're looking at them passing the ball, but you don't notice that the gorilla's walking past.
Cecilia is right. You're so busy concentrating on the passes that you don't notice the gorilla in the room.
This is called inattentional blindness, the failure to notice something important because your attention is engaged elsewhere.
So always keep your eye out for the unexpected.
Well done. I mean, you really got stuck into your part as a gorilla.
Well, you know, Chris, whenever I'm asked to take on a part, I try and really get into it. At one point, I was going to interview a gorilla
Zon.
and ask them about their motivation.
I suspend you've left your gorilla feet on.
Today, we're at a theme park to solve your medical mysteries. Chris is preparing the Ouchmobile for his first patient. And Sand is out in the park to answer your burning questions.
That's amazing!
At the clinic, Chris is open for business.
Next patient, please.
First in is 9-year-old Alfie with his multicoloured mop.
So, Alfie, what brings you to the Ouchmobile today?
So I have a birthmark in the back of my head, which is light brown when all the rest of my hair is dark brown.
What's the diagnosis, Doc?
Right, this sounds like a classic case of I have a birthmark on the back of my head, which makes some of my hair light brown, while the rest of it is dark brown itis.
Huh, easy for you to say.
Should we have a closer look? Yeah. Can you open the eyelid for me? So there you are. Yeah. Now, can you turn around and show me this blondish patch? And that just looks like you've got a little spray can of light brown paint and squirted it on the back of your head.
Okay.
So, the cells that make those hairs aren't making hair pigment, and it's a thing called poliosis.
Okay.
So that bit of hair may keep getting lighter as you get older.
Okay.
Well, Alfie, thank you for bringing in your light brown patch of hair on the back of your head.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chris.
That's a real pleasure.
Away from the clinic, Zand is ouching about in the park.
Why, just before we're about to vomit, does our mouth start to fill with sweat?
So what's actually happening is that your mouth is kind of getting ready for you to be sick and trying to protect itself by putting a lot of saliva into your mouth at once. It's just your mouth trying to protect you because, you know, there's a bit of acid in your stomach, it doesn't taste very nice, and so you kind of get a watering mouth just before it happens.
Back at the Ouchmobile, there's a new case in the waiting room.
Next patient, please.
And it's 9-year-old Niella, whose eye needs examining.
So, Niella, what brings you to the Ouchmobile today?
I've got a spot on my eyeball.
What's the diagnosis, Doc?
Well, this sounds like a classic case of I've got a spot on my eyeball itis.
Spot on.
So we can see the spot on your eyeball. Why don't you open our eyelid? And there you are. Now I want you to get in really close. There, we can see it just there. It's very faint, isn't it? It's called scleral melanocytosis.
I want to know why it's there.
It's a bit like having a freckle in your eye, and it's just where the cells are making a bit more pigment, a bit more of the colour that goes in your skin.
Well, will it stay there forever?
Yeah, you will probably have that for the rest of your life. But that's okay, isn't it? I mean, I think it looks quite cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Niella, for bringing in your scleral melanocytosis for me to see.
Thank you, Dr. Chris.
Job done for today. Clinic closed. Ouch. Your body is amazing, but sometimes it needs fixing. All over the UK, there are special teams of professionals trained to tackle medical mysteries. And some of their work is life-changing. Today I'm meeting 10-year-old Ben, who has epilepsy. Your brain is incredible. It tells your body what to do by sending electrical messages through your nerves to your muscles. Whether you're walking, blinking, or picking your nose, it's these messages from the brain that control movement. But sometimes too many uncontrolled messages come from the brain to the body, creating a storm of electrical activity. And when this happens, it's called an epileptic seizure.
Epilepsy is a condition that affects 60,000 children in the UK, so you might have it, or you might have a friend who does.
Ben has been having seizures for nearly 5 months.
Morning.
As well as medicine, in a small number of cases, doctors can use surgery to treat epilepsy. And that's why Ben has come to Bristol Children's Hospital.
So you have these seizures. Now, how often do you have them?
2 times a day sometimes.
And what happens when you have a seizure, do you know?
Don't know.
Not sure? And why don't you know? Because you're not conscious when you have them, are you? You don't remember them at all.
No.
So today is a really big day for you.
Yeah.
Why is it a big day?
Because I'm operation.
You're gonna have an operation today?
Yeah.
Ben's incredible surgery involves removing a small part of the brain, which doctors believe is causing his seizures. Ben has had MRI scans and electrodes fitted to his head to pinpoint the exact area to remove. Dr. Mike Carter is carrying out today's operation.
We learned that there are electrical activities coming from one particular part of the brain, and that area of the brain is the area that contains the abnormality we can see on the scan. So he's going to have an operation to remove this abnormality and hopefully cure his seizures.
It's time for Ben's operation. He's had a general anaesthetic to put him to sleep, so he won't feel a thing.
So this black bit here, in this bit of Ben's brain, this is where those seizures are starting, and this is what Mike is going to take out today.
Firstly, Ben gets a snazzy haircut in the place where the incision will be made. Then Dr. Mike cuts through Ben's skin and muscle to expose the skull. Look away now if you're squeamish.
So this is the bone. We're going to mark out where we're going to make some openings into it.
What Mike's doing is opening a hatch. He calls it actually a trap door in the side of Ben's skull, and underneath we're going to get to the brain.
There you go. It's a bit of bone that's come out. Okay, so we'll keep that, put it back in later.
Another gross alert coming up.
So this is the surface of Ben's brain, and about 2 centimetres under here is that abnormality of the blood vessels that Mike is going to remove.
To make sure Dr. Mike gets to exactly the right part, he uses an amazing piece of technology called neuronavigation, which guides him to precisely where the lesion is. Dr. Mike begins to cut into Ben's brain.
We're just beginning to see a difference in the colour of the tissue down here. I think that's the abnormality. That's certainly where the image guidance is telling us we need to be.
So the red, angry-looking blob is the abnormality where we think the epilepsy is coming from.
But, there you go. Have a look at it.
Wow. So this is the lesion that Mike thinks has been causing Ben's epilepsy. And he's really hoping that now that he's taken that out, the seizures will stop.
And a few weeks later, Ben is recovering well.
So since the operation, how are you feeling now?
I'm fine.
Are you?
Yeah. My head doesn't hurt.
What about the seizures?
I don't have any since operation.
Really? Are your thoughts different?
Yeah, because I couldn't really say things properly. I couldn't think what the words were supposed to be. But now I can.
So, as you can see, Ben's surgery has been a really big success. Now, not everyone needs surgery. Some people can be managed with medication. But when it is appropriate, in the right circumstances, it can be absolutely life-changing. I think that's what we're seeing here. Right, I'm going to get stuck in. Where's that ball? Here we go.
Ouch. In A&E, our next patient has had an unusual accident.
Luckily, she's in the right place.
In Sheffield Children's Hospital, 12-year-old Isabel has arrived with her dad. Ooh, she looks a bit mucky. What's gone on there, then?
I've hurt my hand. I'm not sure if it's going to be broken or not.
So, how did she manage this muddy mishap? It was a beautiful spring day, and Isabel was out with her horse, Harvey. Oh, that explains the muddy boots, then. Hey, Chris, where's her riding hat? She wasn't wearing one, Zand. Oh, that's not a good idea. I know, but off she went. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Flowers were blooming, lambs were frolicking, birds were tweeting. I can't see what the problem is here, Chris. Just wait, Zand, because all of a sudden, Harvey bolted. As fast as Usain Bolt? Well, kind of. Isabel tried to stop Harvey, but she couldn't. She was dragged along. Harvey trampled over her hand. Lucky she didn't bump her head, Chris. Ouch!
He's quite feisty, yeah.
No kidding. It's time for Dr. John Griffiths to check out Isabel's hand. What do you reckon, Doc?
I'm just going to prod and poke, and I want you to tell me if there's any soreness, all right?
Okay, starts to hurt about there. Yeah.
Dr. John checks for any nerve damage.
Does it feel the same on both sides?
Tickles more.
Tickles more on that side. There is a chance that she does have a fracture, but we're going to do an X-ray and find out.
This is the stuff nightmares are made from. Oh, Zand, enough of the horse jokes. It's off to the X-ray department to find out what the damage is.
I'm going to start with your hand and then I'll do your wrist, all right? Okay.
There are 27 bones in your hand. 8 of these are in your wrist. Any of these bones could have been broken by Harvey's hoof, but it's the left side of Isabel's hand that Dr. John is most concerned about.
So, if we look at the bones, there's no real breaks in the bone, all the lines are nice and smooth. So, I think you've probably dodged the bullet.
Or a bolting horse, more like. Great news, Isabel. Everything looks A-OK. A simple splint to support Isabel's wrist for a few days and she'll be on the mend.
Thank you.
Take care. See you later.
Isabel's got one last